Too
This
early.
conference will now be recorded.
So, anywho, how is everybody? Danny, you still on the mend, or are you back to lifting weights and stuff again? On the mend, your speakers, your microphone's off, I think.
I'm on the mend. A little bit better every day, but I'm still having to learn how to write, do all the things. It's going slow but good.
Awesome, awesome. Good to see you. So, all right. Well, it looks like we just got the normal folks, the usuals. I'm gonna turn my share off. Go. Um, so, does anybody have anything they want to talk about? I don't think we need to do any introductions, unless you just want to for practice.
No.
Um, I don't have a topic or anything. We didn't even pick one this time.
I
It's
think Loco's
getting.
got
I
one.
meant I mentioned one.
Did you? I didn't even see it.
Yeah. The new feature of the overscan estimations in Lightburn, proving the fact that faster is not faster.
Is that out yet, or is it still just on beta?
I think it's still on beta.
I haven't even. I've been running the production version or whatever you call it. I haven't even been back to pull one down and try it recently.
As of this morning, there was no updates, but
Yeah, that'll help. Yeah, well, that's like that video I have of Odin. Did you see that one where I had it at? I didn't publish on there what it was, but I just showed them at the same time, starting at the same time, which one finishes and which one was set at 1,000 and which one was set at 2,000. You know, it's like A or B, you pick or whatever. I was going to present it like that, but it's crazy. It does prove acceleration is king. That's where it's at. You know, and less travel that it has to do. Um, so that's a big thing.
well, there you
Yeah, I
go.
was
That was
talking
the end of that
to
one.
no, I was talking to a customer the other day. Probably she had come in this morning or yesterday during their training call about that. You know, large objects. They were like, "Oh man, that engraved time looks kind of long." I said, well, let's look at what it's doing here with traversal moves, and you know, how much time are you wasting and moving back and forth? So setting up your layer right, and then you know, crank it up to 1,000 on a Nova, and you got this little tiny narrow object. It's like, yeah, you've got 4 inches of total extend space left and right. So if your object's less than say 4 inches, or really 8 inches, you're just killing time on the outside. So
Yeah.
uh,
So if Lightburn's going to calculate the extend space and account for it, that also means it should graph it. Maybe if you're in developer
It
mode in the
does.
preview,
it
so that
does.
you can
Oh,
actually
yeah.
visualize it. Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Chris, do you still have that? You still have that image? If not, I can pull it up.
No, that was just a temp file that I was playing with.
That would be
Now,
a
you
good
know,
article or a good short video tutorial, a video short on or something.
yep, yeah, we got to update our best practices for fill layers based off of it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's
We
definitely
had
cool
that. We
seeing
had
the
that
red extend
screenshot that
space.
we used.
Yeah, it's way back when, man.
I know. I don't know if you saved it and you put everything in files and folders and stuff.
But
Me?
it's
Oh,
still it's a much better attempt at modeling those values. And like if we have
I'll
the known calculated required extend space, you can kind of overlay that and see how accurate the calculations are. But it's definitely a
I
step
can
in the
build it
right
real quick.
direction.
yeah.
I would
And
build
we,
it.
we already have the reference data on that you compiled, right? That we can put
Yeah.
against the Lightburn data and see what it looks like from your constants that you gathered from the machine specific information.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Now that is required extend space, which definitely ties into the amount of extend space it's actually going to travel. I think the machine puts a little bit of buffer in there. You know what I mean? Like, so it knows what an S curve decel can be, and then it says, okay, give me about 10% more, so that I've got still some more physical room out there.
Right.
Uh,
So it's
but yeah,
governed, but just a whole lot closer.
yes. So like, if we take those values that I measured, and you draw, say, a square, and then you do the preview, the red that Lightburn shows should be within those squares limits.
Mhm. That's cool. They're
I'll
doing
see
a
if
lot
I
of
can
neat
I can
stuff
get an
with it.
example up.
And man, it'll really shed light for people that get I guess I'll say suckered into doing the fill shapes individually, and then they're doing
Yeah.
an ornament that takes 45 minutes because it's got 60 letters on it, and they're doing each letter that's a quarter-inch wide with 2 inches of extend space back and forth. Like, why is this taking forever?
Yeah,
Well,
passing over the two objects on either side twice
yep,
every time.
yep,
Well,
Yeah. So
and it kind of will combat the our machine is 200 millimeters per second faster. It
yeah,
doesn't matter. It's not
that
faster
too.
though.
yeah. Well, I was surprised at the difference just looking at the difference between doing that little test. I've got the video somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. I'll put it up here too while you're working on that other thing. I got to pull up
Yeah,
YouTube.
that 5G acceleration versus the 1G or whatever
Yeah,
is
and I gotta
crazy.
say, since I've been using the Odin a little more, I would prefer the Odin for just about everything over my Nova, except maybe like cutting 1/2 inch and thick materials and stuff like that, just because of the air delivery. If I had a cone on the Odin, I'd probably have to do something to, you know, put the Nova in store, use it as a shelf. Not
Now,
really.
didn't you have the old cone head for
Yeah,
Odin?
on the Odin 22, for that 22, I do.
Okay,
It's at an
so you've
off-site
got a
location down the road, but yeah,
okay,
yeah.
nice.
But the cone that I had was the wrong one, so I had to cut the end of it off so that the focus would be right. So, it had like a 7 millimeter orifice. It was not ideal for cutting. I needed another one. You could probably resin print me one.
Yeah, I'd be worried about resin near laser. I'd do it out of PETG or something
Yeah.
because it's
But
right at the discharge. So if your alignment's off and you're burning up resin, that doesn't like it. PETG is laser safe. So
let's see. Um, well, if anybody has any questions or comments or anything, feel free to just jump right in because, like I said, we're just kind of scatterbrained.
Well,
I
my
think
question is, Brian, when is that event up in Vegas, down in Vegas, over in Vegas, around in Vegas, whatever you want to call it? For me, it's up.
April 12th.
Yeah, 12th through the
April
14th.
12th. Okay, cool.
I'll put the link to it in the. Oh, can you get to the comments? Let's see. I'm gonna
Wait,
put the
April
link to
12th
that
to the
in the
14th. That's
comments.
a Wednesday through Friday. That's not on the weekend. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's on the weekend.
No,
So,
it's not. It's a Wednesday through Friday.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Where is? I'm gonna try to find that video that I made of the Odin. There it is. Content.
Are you guys going to have any special deals on show stuff that you bring out that you're going to need to sell and not want to take back?
There is absolutely that
Good question.
possibility that somebody might be able to drive away from there with a laser and get a good deal on it because we don't want to have to box it up and send it back.
Well, I'm
So,
raising my hand at this moment.
well, how far are you from there?
I'm in SoCal. I'm about 3-hour drive away.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I sent the link to that video that I made about the difference between the Odin. I can try to share it, but let's see.
No.
They need to make
The support link. I'm sorry, the support link or the other one, the YouTube link.
The support link is the one about the event. The
Okay.
YouTube is the video of the Odin. One set at 1,000 millimeters per second, and another same job set at 2,000 millimeters per second, which is max. And I just had them take off at the same time. And the one that gets done the first, quite a bit sooner, actually, is the one that was set at 1,000 millimeters per second.
Right. Yeah, you can see, and that would probably be the bottom right one. You can see the major overlay on the top left. Yeah, the travel on the top left is way over the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right. Cool.
now I do think, and I had a ULS for a while, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this is right. The full servos are strong enough to stop that, even though you got to think that motion, that sudden move, stop is not as good. But there was not that kind of extend space issue with that ULS machine that I had because of the full servos. I think that is why, because you'll like Trotec, ULS, Epilogue, those guys, you don't really ever see any issues with extend space because they don't really have any. And they work right up in the top left corner. You slide everything to the top left. So that of all of this, I like the Odin better than that ULS that I had. And the extend space doesn't really bother me. So, but this is a fantastic machine. Uh, I like the new head also. If you hear that, well, if you're playing that and hear that rattle, that knocking, it sounds like a V8 with a rod knocking. That's the drag chain slapping the track. I need to put a little piece of foam or something down there. That's not a mechanical slop issue. That's just the drag chain. I need to put that in the description. People are going to be like, "What's that noise? It sounds like it's running on 3 cylinders." So, anyway.
All right, I think I got it. That's a pain in the butt.
So, is everybody swamped for Christmas or preparing, or how's that going?
That's probably why nobody's really here today. We got
Yeah, I'd say so. Hey guys, so.
and then
So
Tommy
Nat.
had some homework over Thanksgiving break, especially on that dark wood, that black walnut or whatever it is, 100% air pressure. See how far you can cut that.
We didn't get to that yet.
Oh, Tommy. Oh, let me log into your laser real quick. Hold on.
He remembers. He said something the other day, but yeah, we've just been trying to catch up and get everything finished up so that December 10th we're done for Christmas, like we told all of our customers we would be, so that we can get all the other normal household stuff done.
Mhm.
So then we'll have time to do stuff like that.
Cool.
Understood. You say that, but you'll be right after Christmas. Guess what? You'll be getting ready for Valentine's, St. Patrick's Day, Easter. No?
Well, that's one good thing about me being in my position. I don't make stuff unless I just want to, so I don't have to stress about it. So, what do you want to talk about freezing since it's like wintertime for a minute and the RV thing, since that's come
it's a
up
little
a few
cold.
times? I haven't seen as many. Of course, we had that unusual freeze in Texas last year that really swamped us and knocked us out of tubes fast. We still don't have 130s, as far as I understand, anywhere in the states that's reputable that we normally deal with. But
What's interesting is CloudRay, I think, is offering their own tubes now. Maybe they have for a while, but they've got a 130-watt tube.
those look like SPTs, I think. If you
Yeah.
look at the optical coupler, the output coupler on them, I think those are SPTs, just rebranded.
Yep. And
But
the ones that are stateside come with a pretty nice tax on them too.
Yeah.
For convenience.
Yeah. The TRs are available, I think, the ones with the red dot built in, which is actually kind of neat. You could get rid of your red dot and your beam combiner, since all that's internal, and not have to worry until the red dot goes out in your $1,300 tube or $1,500 tube, and then you're without one, just because it quit working, but the tube still fires. Who's going to replace an entire tube to replace a red dot?
What are they doing with that? Coming in at an angle, or they have it?
It has to be introduced at an angle, perpendicular. You would think that's the only plausible way. Otherwise, whatever it was trying to introduce it into the beam would be in the beam's path. If it's not an optic, it would be a component, another component. But I do think that they epoxy it in or they fix it in such a way that it's dead on, like the red dot position, unless there's a malfunction, can't get off. There is no adjustment. So in that respect, I think, of course, you could
It'll
always
run.
check it, go all the way to the end, go to the far, upper right corner and hit them and see if they match. There's no adjustment. But if
Yeah.
they do, then you could probably trust that red dot for an alignment process, which is not typical with the way that ours does, because we introduce it with a separate fixture and optic that has adjustments on it, and stuff like that. That's what makes me skittish about using the red dot as a reference on primary beam alignment altogether. But that's just me being weird. I also haven't had to align my machine.
I sent you that image on Ring.
I see it.
Ring ring. Yeah, so with that, the RV antifreeze, use it for the winter months, and then when you're done, flush it with distilled water, and then put distilled water back in it for when the temperatures are above freezing again.
Yeah. Yeah, even the approved antifreeze, and that was a weird thing. See, we got Thunder China, to approve RV antifreeze for Thunder Laser USA clients. I don't know how it is global, because we convinced them that we were confident enough that it would perform, and that doesn't mean that Teiyu Chiller and SPT and Risi have it on their approved list. They do not. So if a tube is determined to go bad because of conductivity of the RV antifreeze, for instance, and the tube is not warranted by Risi, Thunder China would have to eat that, is the way that kind of works. So it's kind of approved, but it kind of isn't. We're Thunder's adding the buffer there, trusting our judgment that stuff that they approve is $100 a gallon and you can't find it unless you get a drum of it, or whatever. So
Yeah, and
that's
something needed to be
the
done.
sticky part. But the good news is that stuff has proven itself, but if we recommend something, we're going to stand by it. We're going to warranty it. So that was one of the questions that had come up. So it's kind of a weird situation, but I think it'll be a non-issue at the end of the day. But what I was getting to, even the approved antifreeze that Teiyu and Risi and Thunder all agree on, that are listed, that they approve of, that weird stuff or unavailable stuff, they still even recommend getting rid of that and only using it when it's cold, or when you need to, because it's not good for the machines either. It's just that there's not really another choice. Any additive that we put in that thing has the potential of not being good for the system long term. So let's see.
We have Jamie, and Jim's here, but he hasn't said anything. So
Yeah, and Daniel. So a couple more people popped in, so that's cool. Feel free, if you have a question or a comment or something like that, just to kick your mic on and go to town. We'll be glad to. Or if you're driving or not have access or something, if you want to chat something, we can discuss whatever's in the chat as well. I finally figured out how to leave that open when I'm moving around so that I can still see it. So, trying to think if there's anything else. Any oddities? Not really. Not really a lot of tube failures, from the freeze. Since we were talking about antifreeze, there's been a few.
It also brings up water changing. I think
Yeah,
4 months is the PM schedule that's listed on the sticker on the machine. So we've seen some pretty rank water in some of these tube failure pictures.
yeah. Algae and growth or other foreign things in there, or just the water be real brown, So all of that can affect it.
Daniel, Jamie, you guys have anything that you want to ask, contribute?
Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Alrighty. I'm a prospective customer of Thunder Laser, and I've been kicking around the idea of buying a larger laser. We currently have a small business in the San Antonio area. We do a lot of leather patches, custom leather patches for hats and stuff, and we would like to kind of continue to expand that business and start offering tumblers and potentially get into signs and stuff like that, and be able to produce or process orders a little quicker. Currently, we're operating with a small a Glowforge Pro, and
Okay.
while it works, it's not super fast.
Sure.
So anyway, I've been doing a little bit of research the last couple weeks. I'm kind of down to a Boss laser or a Thunder laser. Obviously, a lot of good reviews out there on the Thunder lasers in general. Customer support, troubleshooting, and stuff is a big topic that a lot of people talk about.
Sure.
I'm not 100%. I'm not completely familiar with the offerings that come with a new laser purchase, but I believe you guys kind of have everything kind of bundled together, one-stop shop, decent sized chiller included. Do you guys also include a fan with the
Yes,
units? And is it external
absolutely.
to the laser?
It is. Generally, you want the fan as close to the exhaust exit as possible. So it is an external fan, so we can get it a little bit closer, to the outlet. So that comes as a kit, and it's ready to run pretty much out of the box. It comes with everything you need to run it to specification: the air pump, the exhaust fan. It is a quiet inline fan, also not one of those centrifugal ones. We went to the quiet, so no more having to buy a cloud line just because you can't hear over that jet engine that's trying to exhaust your old machine. On the older machines, they had a centrifugal fan.
Gotcha.
It's all controlled by the machine. In the package also is the chiller, and they're all, except for the Mini 60, which we don't have many of those, they're all 5000 series chillers. 60 through 100 watt gets a 5000 series, and the 130 watt machines get a 5200 series chiller, which is more than enough for both of those. They over-engineer that as far as that goes. And that includes liftgate shipping. And what you got, CeeLo?
I was just going to say that the only thing that you need to provide is 2 gallons of distilled water and a computer. Otherwise, unbox it and plug it in.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
it's all inclusive.
Is the air compressor external to the machine also, or is that that air assist included?
It is external.
No, it is external, and a lot of users will upgrade to an external one as well for more PSI.
Gotcha. Do you have to run the air assist in the chiller all the time, or do you run those? I guess more of the chiller more so than the air assist, just that over a certain percentage of your tube capacity, or how do you guys usually operate?
Well, the chiller, it comes on with the machine, and the exhaust and the air assist stages, there's 2 air assist stages on a Thunder. So you can choose between 2 different flow rates in the same job without having to stop and retool or adjust pressure. So all of that's controlled by the machine. So the chiller will come on when you turn on the machine. It'll only cycle and go into a compression cycle and actually chill. That's controlled by the thermostat and everything that's built in. So it'll cycle on and off just like a dorm fridge. Think about one of those small dorm refrigerators. That's kind of the way that system works. It just runs autonomously. So
understood.
And actually you can have your machine on as long as you don't have your laser power supply on. The chiller will not be on.
Right. Yeah, you can turn the main power switch on and just energize the machine enough to interact with it. And then when you're ready to actually fire the machine, you can flip on the laser power switch, and that will energize the chiller, and that way you'll be ready to burn. So it doesn't have to be on all the time. So.
But I came from a machine where if you turned on the power, the air assist was on all the time and the exhaust fan was on all the time. We actually have a proprietary controller that when the job starts, it will trigger your air assist and your exhaust fan. So it's not running in the background all the time, which is really nice.
Gotcha. With the water chiller, outside the distilled water, I've also got a plasma table that we operate, and with that we use distilled water and then also an additive to cut down on the algae growth and whatnot.
Right.
Is there anything that you guys typically run, or just distilled water and frequent water changes?
We see very few cases of growth inside there unless the water is not adequately maintained or a foreign body has been introduced. It's a closed system. You can add a couple of drops of algicide or something like that, but I would do that reactively, not proactively, because that's just
Gotcha.
not really an issue with the way our systems are set up.
Okay.
It won't hurt
What,
anything if you need to, but it's normally not something that you have to do.
Right. What do you guys think sets Thunder Laser apart from other laser manufacturers, like a Boss or an Aeon, or any others that I guess people would consider a competitor?
Well, the service, for one thing, the machine is just fantabulous. It's a well-built, it's an industrial machine. Some of the others that have some different motor options where you can get as fast as we are, or they say a little faster, those are fine, but you also have to remember the entire machine has to be built to handle that. So some of these claims or specifications you see about speed, especially, and power and all of that, they can be weighted, they can be jaded, like for instance, I'll give you, for instance, on the Nova 35, which is the one I have, an 80-watt machine, it has a 90-watt tube in it and a 100-watt power supply. And the reason they do that is because we can fire our tubes and get 10% over our published power without exceeding the manufacturer's operating maximum current for the tube. So you can run these machines at 100%. They're calibrated from the factory, see?
Gotcha.
So I can, on an 80-watt machine, you can make about 88.6 watts at the third mirror without going over, without exceeding without any detriment to the tube. Of course, the harder you run a tube, the less it's going to last. Just like anything, a car or a bike or a lawnmower or anything else. The easier you are on it, but you don't have to worry about overdriving the tube. You might see that on a lot of the forums with the DC tube machines. So
yeah, don't ever run 100%. Don't ever run 100%. You can run 100% with ours.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, that was something that I actually did just see some comments in the last couple days about that. So okay.
The quality of the machine is great. The support, if you go look on the support site, you'll find all the wiring diagrams. You'll find documentation and theory of operations on how the chiller works. All the parts are listed in there with links to where to get them. The support documentation in itself is unlike anything else that I've seen from any other laser company, whether they are Chinese based or not. So that's another thing that's very valuable, is having that repository of knowledge at your fingertips, and the support system that accompanies your laser purchase with Thunder. So,
Daniel, where are you located?
Just north of San Antonio, Spring Branch, Bulverde area, Texas.
How close is that to Quitman? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not very far. I think it's like 5 hours or something like that is what I was.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can always put tires on one.
Yeah, if you could take a look, find somebody that has a Boss, and then go take a look at the Thunder, it's hands down, there's no option.
Yeah.
That was a very Texas response. No, it's not very far, just 5 hours. So what about to Houston? Because there's Alicia not too far over in Houston. I know she's like 4 hours from Quitman. So
yeah, she's got a couple machines.
Those.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you want to see one in person and kick the tires on it, one of the sales guys or somebody can get you fixed up with somebody that may be a little closer, that you could do something like that with. Okay. If anybody else has anything, any owners, because see, the three people that are showing up right now are all Thunder reps. So if anybody else wants to contribute, please
What do you want to know about a Boss? We had one.
I was waiting for that camera to fire up.
I've been on the phone raising Cain with a buddy of mine over a contract that fell through.
Tommy, don't forget, be nice. We're being recorded.
I am.
No specific questions. I had looked at the Thunder product a couple months ago, and we weren't sure if we were serious about buying at that time. And then we started looking a little harder. I think that we've made the decision we're gonna purchase something, and we would like to do it before the end of the year. And obviously Boss, just had a big sale, and that was, I guess, probably just because I've been looking at laser stuff in general. My Facebook had those ads all over my Facebook page, so that had me looking at them a little harder. And as I was fixing to pull the trigger without really speaking with anybody and asking questions, just kind of looking around, I took a step back a day or two ago, and I was like, I want to ask a couple more questions, and just so happened you guys had this meeting today, and so I thought I'd call in and just see.
A good point to bring up is that the Thunder is global. We are Thunder, and actually the American side is 70% of Thunder sales. So we have a good input as to the direction and improvements, and if there are any issues. Another thing to bring up is that it's pretty well known that Boss is a Gawicki laser that is rebranded in Sanford, Florida. So you're paying a little bit extra for it being housed and rebranded here stateside. That said, we have full control over the production, the quality, and all that stuff. We're not a rebranded machine. This is Thunder Laser
from the ground up. Yeah.
Right.
Daniel, I ended up getting in touch with the salespeople, and Brian got me hooked up with a fella down about 150 miles away, and he had the machine that I wanted. And I went down there, and he's become a real good friend. And since then, I found a guy within 7 miles that has the same machine. And being able to network with them and actually see people that are far more advanced than I am and help me along the way is worth a ton. And as far as comparing the machine, you actually see the machine that you're looking at is worth a lot to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've heard some people say that going to forums or Facebook groups is not a good judge of the equipment and the kind of thing you're going to get. And I kind of tend to disagree, because what I look for in a group, and I guess I'm in 50 or 60 different laser groups, and the generic Chinese laser groups in general, they're all dumpster fires. Nobody can talk about speed. Nobody can talk about power. They all have a different brand and wattage of power supply, different machines, and it's just a dumpster fire. You can't hold an intelligent conversation about that. But what I like about the Thunder family is you go in there and everyone's helpful. All of the things are uniform. The standardization and calibration of the machines are all the same. They try not to change anything unless they are just evolving and they're pretty sure that it's going to be a good thing. So just having that kind of community where you can go in and ask questions and not have to fight through dumpster fires all the time and see people arguing about things. It's just so refreshing just to see that there's a community there full of intelligent people that get in together and run these machines and share their experiences. So that's a huge part of it.
So
Tommy's
Daniel,
itching.
No, not at all. It's we owned that a Boss. It was the smaller Boss, the LS 1420. So I make my judgments based off of that. And only that. I don't know the other machines, minus what I just had to go work on for a friend of mine. What was that, Loco? 2 weeks ago now, when I hit you up about some of those questions. Yeah. So I can tell you from personal experience that it's much nicer to work on or do minor maintenance to a better, higher quality machine than something that if I shake it, a bolt's going to come out. Or if tech support, and I've talked to all 3 tech supports and sent my tickets in the whole 9 yards, they sent a step by step, the tube's not firing or it's not, step by step. And it literally started with the hardest thing to determine and then worked all the way through the door sensor. And that's where we stopped. Instead of going, okay, we know that door sensors are for that brand are faulty because everybody bitches about that.
Yeah.
Instead of starting right there with check this, I'm unplugging and trying to squeeze my hands into a hole that's half the size. That's a whole nother thing. The layout and the accessibility to find the power supply, to find the TL timer, to track wires is 400 times better on a Thunder than it is a Boss. I'm almost 6 foot. I'm a big guy. In general, trying to fit my meat hooks into an itty bitty little hole to pull damn wires off of something that's shoved up against something else. It's miserable.
They're all labeled. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not too many companies out there that has every single wire labeled so that you can trace it.
Yes.
Like Brian said, our schematics are online. Who in their right mind puts their schematics online for the world to see? Any other laser company can go in and copy us, but they don't. Why? Everything is there for your knowledge and your support and your ease of use for the most part. And I'm coming from, buying a $40,000 laser, and that's why I work here now, because I love the company. But it's a step above by every stretch of the imagination. And really the wiring, I used to do 12-volt wiring for a living, and this is a dream the way they have it wired.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute dream.
The other thing is the price that's on the site is what you pay. That's with the 2-year warranty. That's all the stuff. That's the kit, ready to run, the shipping and everything. I noticed when I went to Boss's site, I was doing a comparison the other night. And if you want the faster motors, that's an extra $1,000 or $1,500 or something like that. And if you want the chiller that's active, the 5200 they offer, that's another $1,000. Our 5200 chiller is what, 650, maybe $600, something like that. And our 5000 chiller, I think, is what, 350. And I think I don't even think they offer the 5000 anymore. I think they just offer the 5200.
Mine
But
came with
anyway. Oh yeah, right. It'll
when
come with
mine
a fish
showed
pump.
up, it showed up with a fish pump and a shoddy tube right out of the crate.
Yeah.
Do they ship without the tube in them?
No, the tube was in them, but I got conflicting information, and I think I asked y'all that one time about my buddy who has he bought my old one. He was told that he can't buy extra tubes because they have to be refrigerated. Well, I cannot make that up. Y'all know me well enough to know.
No, I believe you.
But I put this 3580 on the back of a tandem axle trailer, Chris, and drove some gnarly back roads, bumpy as can be cow trails, unloaded it, checked took a piece of tape, hit pulse twice after I moved the gantry around, and it was up and running within, an hour of me getting home.
Yeah, and that was one that had been crushed, wasn't it? Or fell off the back of a truck.
Fell off a truck and had to be redone. So y'all know how I stand on this. I won't own anything else.
I will say that I was really, really upset today because I do sales in the morning, and I got on the phone with a lady and her son that are looking at both the Boss and the Thunder. And they said, my son decided to go with a Boss because it says it will do metal engraving.
Oh God, no, Jesus.
Right. So I go on to their site, and they show their laser machine with a stainless steel tumbler and with Boss Laser written on it. Well, they don't show the marking spray. And then if you don't scroll down to the bottom to look at their little asterisk, you don't know it needs to be coated, metal coated, or metal with some type of marking spray. So they're automatically trying to deceive you that it's not possible. And that luckily they are in Sarasota. They're like 40 minutes away from me. I said, come up here and come look at the machine. And CO2 lasers do not cut metal. They don't engrave depth on metal unless you start getting into oxygen assist or some type of assist. So come
Higher
up here and
wattage.
I'll explain. Yeah, higher
They
wattage,
have
150, higher, 150 or
Yeah.
higher plus assist, right?
right.
Come up here, take a look at this, and then drive out to Sanford, which is an hour and a half away, and then look at their machines. I'm confident in this decision you'll make. But I was so upset that they have this deceiving marketing on their website, and that I had to scroll down to find out the truth.
They had I think they still offer it, a metal cutting. It is, I think, 150, which and it's got a head on it, and I think it might be oxygen assist or nitrogen assist if it's stainless.
It is. Yes.
But that's a special, that's you're going straight for that because that's what you need, kind of thing. If you're going to be cutting metal especially with a low power CO2, you're going to know that you're going to need that head and that air, that
Right.
gas assist to be able to facilitate that. Yeah. So, and I don't badmouth Glowforge. We don't try to badmouth anybody, and it's not really, and I think we do a pretty good job of it because we get some pretty crappy attacks on us from time to time, and I want so badly to fire back, but I don't usually. Usually, but anyway.
So Daniel,
You don't
do you
want to
have
take your
for me being a former boss owner?
No, I don't think so. I appreciate the feedback that you've provided. Certainly, kind of what I've stumbled across just in the last couple days of again looking at the Thunders a little closer prior to making a final decision. So, one other question that I do have is about the heads of the laser. So, I think does the Thunder come with a 2-inch head as
It
a
does.
standard?
Mm-hmm. It'll have a stock 2-inch head, and then
it would be my ignorance just because I've got a very simple Glowforge, right? So it kind of is what it is. I think there are some different mirrors, but I've never had the need to utilize anything different.
Sure.
But what are the benefits of installing a 4-inch head, or I think maybe even there was like a high resolution head. How do those really benefit you, or how do they differ, the heads?
So we use our 4-inch head, which is honestly, it is not the one that Thunder sells. But they're not going to complain that we use it because it's still in their machine. We cut solid cherry weekly with our 4-inch, the 4-inch head.
So,
Okay.
think of it as if you're looking at the beam vertically. A 2-inch head maybe has a beam carry distance of about 1/4 of an inch. And then if you think of the 4-inch head, maybe it's about 1/2 an inch. So it's going to carry through the material with more power. So even if you have a whiskey flask and it has a bend to it, the 4-inch lens will be able to engrave on that bend better than a 2-inch lens that will lose its focal strength.
Gotcha. And how does the high resolution head differ from a 2-inch or a 4-inch? Is it focused the beam more?
It's a more intense. Yeah, it's more intense beam, but you're also getting a smaller dot. You got to kind of figure with the HR lens, you're about 200 DPI higher than the 2-inch lens, give or take. I mean, of course, graphic dependent and alignment and all that stuff. But I've seen personally about 200 DPI more with the HR lens.
Okay. And what is
Yeah, the
the
guy
standard
called me.
2-inch lens good for as far as DPI?
It's the
It-
Swiss
it
Army
is.
knife.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's
exactly.
like
The
what,
Swiss Army knife.
500 is what it's rated at. I think
Yeah.
500. So.
Okay.
And also think about this: if you have a piece of plywood and you're trying to put a picture on it, it doesn't matter if you got 1800 DPI resolution. A piece of plywood's not going to support that resolution. Same way with glass. If you want to get super high resolution and accurately reproduce that, at the pixel level, then something like anodized aluminum or acrylic or a coated canvas maybe or something like that would support higher resolution. So the media has stuff to do with that as well.
Right.
There is one thing that I've learned about the 4-inch head, and I guess it was my ignorance before all of this. And CeeLo, you pretty much just hit it. The 4-inch lens is not about power. It's about distance of cutting. So even with styrofoam or acoustic foam at 1 inch thick, a 2-inch lens will not cut through this because of the distance and that focal distance. But a 4-inch lens cuts right through it with no issues and a nice straight line.
Gotcha.
It's not about power with a 4-inch. For us cutting, it's all about the thickness of the material.
Yeah,
Hey, Tommy.
I mean, if you know 2-cycle like dirt bikes, it's like a power band, or the distance throw of the beam.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
How
in
about
one of the articles, there's a graphic that'll show a little bit. The basics of focus is a great one to check out. Let me put that in the and it'll have some.
There's a video on it. The laser engineer explaining all of that I've seen years ago.
Yeah, so it like the HR head would be really good also for cutting something really thin. But as he said,
But it must
as you
be flat.
go, yeah, really flat, really thin, like a
Well-
razor blade maybe.
Yeah, less than 3 millimeter.
So and speaking of that, and I'm sorry, I have to, Brian, you told us to use the 1.5-inch lens to try to cut that 1/8-inch ebony.
Yeah.
Still did not work.
Really?
So unless we yank it up to like 100% power just to try that, that's about the only thing we have left to try is maxing the power out to see if we can get through in one pass on that 1/8-inch ebony.
That stuff's a little bit tough, isn't it?
It was like 2 mil. It wasn't even 1/8 inch. It was like 2 mil ebony, and it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's so painful.
cut
to watch it.
HR head for that? I'd be worried about it being so close that it would get in on the lens. I'm afraid
No,
about.
we've got an 1.5-inch lens that we were trying. But you weren't here for that conversation a few weeks ago. I think that was the day your stuff was glitching out.
One of them.
What you ought to try is a Odin with the 1.5-inch lens.
You gonna send me one?
You forgot to pick it up when you were here last time.
No, but I'm going to buy one at the trade show up in Vegas.
They'll have an Odin and a Nova. I don't know what size Nova, and an Odin there and an Aurora. I think they'll have one
we'll
of
have all
each.
the machines there.
I'll just send it to you, CeeLo, and let you play with it and see what you think.
I'm not buying them all.
I can try it for sure.
Hey, Tommy, how compressible is that phone that you got?
I didn't show you that, did I, Tommy? Sorry.
Hang on a second. I'll be right back over there.
Very nice.
They see that? I didn't see it.
He
Damn,
didn't
Chris.
see it.
Too bad. Sorry. You're done.
You'll have to
Too
go
late.
watch the webinar when it's done.
And that's the nickel, right?
No, that's a stainless.
Oh, the stainless. So
Yeah, the nickel came out really good.
Yeah, I
Oh
see.
wow.
And the brass came out good too. We're good.
The
Or copper, sorry.
copper. I was gonna say, wait.
as soon as you send those back, he's going to place the order. So
Is
he's
that-
buying.
No, I was just gonna send it
Those are
back.
the belt buckles.
Is that
Yeah.
MOPA or non-MOPA?
That's MOPA. No, sorry,
Okay.
no, non-MOPA. Non-MOPA.
Okay.
Chris, does that help to explain?
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking, we always get asked about these thick foams, and a lot of it is about throw distance. Even with the 4-inch lens, if you're trying to cut through, sorry if y'all can hear my dog. Somebody must have rang or knocked on the door. But if you're trying to cut through that thick foam, even with the 4-inch lens, if you got really thick foam, your curve is still getting larger. I've always wondered if you could take like a weighted system and somehow weigh that down, with like a steel
Oh
plate.
yeah.
Like you've got a steel plate that okay, I'm gonna be cutting X distance or X rectangle or something, weigh it down and compress it, and then just cut basically the outside edge of that steel plate or something,
Kind
and
of
only
I
like
have to
wonder
using
go
a
how that would
through.
straight edge
expand.
or a ruler to weigh it
Yeah,
down before you cut it.
yeah,
Almost.
So
yeah.
I,
Like when you're
I
cutting
would
insulation,
suggest,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would suggest not recommending people use something solid. That way, I know people and head crashes right and left because they weren't paying attention. But like, where we have the corners, I could probably pin that down and crush it to
yeah,
get it to the inside of it, or another ruler or something along those lines. Absolutely.
some sort of
You
jig that could expand and make your cutting edge really, really nice.
If the top wasn't so porous and you had a really strong exhaust fan, you could create a vacuum table.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was my thought, was a vacuum table, but yeah, it
So this is
wouldn't really work.
this is acoustic
Hey.
foam that
What
we
if-
cut for chess pieces.
Yeah. What if you were to actually create a vacuum table and just put saran wrap over the top of it? Seriously, to hold, and it would suck it down. And then as you cut, it would come up in that area, but the rest of it, you would think would still have enough pressure because it's just, I don't know.
That's a hell of a vacuum table.
Yeah, I think weight compression on the surface would
Be
work
better.
out.
I don't know.
But then once you get to
After-
odd shapes and
magnets-
stuff, yeah.
So make your list. After the 9th, we quit for the season. So that'll be the time where we can experiment with more stuff here, like the direct air that y'all want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've got 1.5 inch cherry that we'll try.
Is this it?
Yeah,
It's the soft stuff though, right? It doesn't have like a layer on the backside and front side, right?
No, it's the same. It's
Ours
just
is the same.
I know it's you've
Okay.
got.
How
I've got
stiff is it
some.
though? Yeah, there you go. Do a little rigidity test there.
No, this is
I've
gonna
got
be
Chris is
fun.
Chris is just a little floppy.
I've got a pill for that.
Glad he beat
on the
me
air
too.
assist, I've had a couple people ask about, they got those digital gauges, and they're like, oh, I can only get up to 18, just like, golly, his name just slipped my mind. George was talking about the other week. Another one came back, so I can only get 18 psi, but my gauge says this. Well, that's because you're flowing, and you're not able to actually maintain full pressure in the line because you got essentially what is a leak. Your nozzle is a leak.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I was like, put your finger over it and you'll see the difference. But I would be interested in what a 90 psi feed would do from a cutting standpoint.
I'll start it at 150 and work down. My only concern is the 1/4 inch hose is not going to hold the psi. That's where I'm kind of going to test
Yeah.
it to see what's going to
Well,
be.
you could always put a different fitting on the head. But hey, now don't blow the lens out because that's a synthesized crystal and it's permeable. It's more like the consistency of a bar of soap than it is glass.
Hey, I
Y'all are
heard that.
gonna send us new stuff.
Yeah, I heard that tech support will support this experiment.
Well, tech support ain't got no lenses. They're gonna have to get them from Texas. No, that's cool.
For
I
science.
want to see
It's
it
for
too.
Science.
It's for science.
Yes.
I want to see it with a 2-inch lens. I want to see it with a 4-inch lens. I really want to see what it does,
Mhm.
and things of that nature. So
Yeah.
I'm curious. It's time to actually start truly experimenting.
I mean, if you send me a little brick of that ebony wood, I'll sacrifice my lens. I can only go up to 90 psi though. I don't have anything fancier than 90.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can
I'll
I
try
can
it.
get it up to I can do 150 off of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I also have a
Hashtag.
plasma cutter, so I have a crazy ass compressor.
Speaking
So
of plasma cutter, hey, have y'all considered the warnings of don't do this on galvanized yet?
I don't
Do what?
consider warnings. I don't listen to warnings.
Listen to warnings.
What are warnings? Like 25-mile-an-hour curves coming ahead. All right, 50 miles an hour it is.
I'm going to have to add a
Pretty much,
yeah.
disclaimer to the bottom of this that says the thoughts and actions of our team members are not necessarily reflected of the thoughts and actions of Thunder Laser USA Incorporated. Where's Jim when
Gotta
you
keep
need
it
him?
exciting. Yeah, he
Hunting.
was here. There he is, right?
He's hunting.
But he's here. He's here,
He's
but he's
probably
not.
got his headphones in, so he's watching
That's a
for
different-
animals.
That's
With,
not,
That's
that's a different Jim.
Jim.
that's a different Jim. Oh, see, I have to go by faces anyway. I'm terrible with names. So, all right. Well, check it out. It is 3:55 in real time.
Or 455.
455.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and others times, non-Thunder time. I
155
figured the
over here.
official. I figured the official time zone should be wherever the global headquarters of the distributorship is, which is in Quitman, Texas. So I figure Central Time is what we ought to go by. Plus, that's what I use, and it's easier.
Jim just
Around
popped up. He said hello.
Yeah,
I saw him.
around
Thank
here,
you.
they call Central Time slow time.
Well, that would fit me perfectly then, because I'm a
Really
little
is.
slow sometimes.
It's either labeled slow time or fast time.
We're like 15 minutes from the line. So you're either in fast time or slow time, and we are in fast time.
Gotcha. Well, next time we have the thing, you're going to have to take your laptop with you and drive over 15 miles and watch it from the other one.
See if it's the same. How much does it change?
There's also not great signal out there.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn off the recording.